For 29 years, Alcatraz was the ultimate fortress, a name that echoed with finality. Perched on a desolate island in the middle of San Francisco Bay, it was surrounded by freezings, shark-infested waters, and currents so powerful they could rip a boat to shreds. The official word was simple: no one could ever leave the rock alive. It was more than a prison. It was a symbol of inescapable justice. But symbols can be broken. On the morning of June 12, 1962, the routine of Alcatraz was shattered. During the morning roll call, guards approached the cells of 3 inmates, Frank Morris and brothers John and Clarence Anglin. They called out their names, no response. A guard reached through the bars to shake one of the men awake, and watched in horror as his head rolled clean off the pillow and onto the floor. Panic erupted. The heads weren't real. They were fakes, crafted from soap, toilet paper, and real human hair stolen from the prison barbershop. Frank Morris and the Anglin brothers weren't just gone. They had vanished, leaving behind a profound and embarrassing mystery. They hadn't just escaped the unescapable prison. They had outsmarted and humiliated the entire federal prison system and the FBI with a master plan that was as brilliant as it was audacious, a plan involving spoons, raincoats, and painted dummy heads. The escape was the brainchild of Frank Morris, a career criminal with a documented IQ of 133. A genius trapped in a cage. But even geniuses need a weakness to exploit. Morris found one not in the guards or the routines, but in the very air around him. He realized that decades of salty sea air had corroded and weakened the concrete walls of the prison. The impenetrable fortress was rotting from the inside out. An idea sparked. A plan began to form, months before their final disappearance. Working in painstaking secrecy, the men began their work. Their primary tools were stolen metal spoons from the mess hall and a makeshift drill, ingeniously fashioned from the motor of a broken vacuum cleaner. Their target was the small ventilation grill at the back of each of their cells. The sound of their digging would have given them away instantly, but Maurice had a solution for that too. They only worked during the prison's designated music hour, when the sounds of and other instruments echoed through the cell block, providing the perfect cover for their scraping and chipping. Inch by inch, night after night, they patiently carved a tunnel through walls that were designed to hold America's most dangerous men. The concrete dust was carefully collected and scattered in the bay during their yard time. The holes were concealed with cleverly painted cardboard grills. They had breached the first line of defense. But digging their way out of their cells was, believe it or not, the easy part. The real enemy, the true warden of Alcatraz, was the water. The San Francisco Bay is a trap. The water temperature rarely gets above 55 degrees Fahrenheit, cold enough to induce hypothermia in minutes. The currents are a chaotic, powerful force, capable of dragging even the strongest swimmer out to the vast, unforgiving Pacific Ocean. Swimming, it was a guaranteed death sentence. So, they decided they wouldn't swim. They would sail. They needed a raft. But where do you get the materials to build a boat inside the world's most secure prison? You steal them, piece by piece, right under the noses of your captors. Over months, they managed to steal more than 50 standard-issue rubber raincoats from the prison workshops. Up on the top tier of the cell block, in a dusty, unused utility corridor, they set up a secret workshop. It was a space directly above the guards' heads, a place no one ever thought to look. Here, using heat from the prison's steam pipes, they painstakingly vulcanized the rubber seams of the raincoats, melting them together to create a sturdy, 6-foot, inflatable boat. They even crafted makeshift life vests and wooden paddles. All this was happening while the guards patrolled below, completely oblivious. The night of June 11, 1962, was their moment. The weather was foggy and the bay was choppy. It was now or never. With their hearts pounding, they executed the final steps of their plan. They carefully placed their painted decoy heads in their beds, complete with real hair arranged on their pillows to fool the night guards on their rounds. One by one, they squeezed through the narrow, jagged holes they had dug in their cell walls. They entered the dark, dusty utility corridor, climbed a complex web of plumbing pipes up to the roof of the cell block, and descended down a bakery vent pipe. They navigated the prison's outer defenses, climbing a 50-foot drain pipe to reach the ground near the shore. Under the cloak of darkness and thick fog, they inflated their raincoat raft and launched it into the pitch-black, churning water. The last thing anyone saw, if anyone saw anything at all, was the faint silhouette of 3 men paddling furiously away from the island, disappearing into the mist, heading towards Angel Island. The next morning, when the escape was discovered, Alcatraz was thrown into absolute chaos. The FBI, led by J. Edgar Hoover himself, launched one of the most extensive and expensive manhunts in American history. They tore the island apart, searching every inch. Boats and helicopters scoured the bay. The official story had been shattered, and they needed to find the men, dead or alive, to restore the prison's fearsome reputation. A few days later, some evidence surfaced. A paddle was found floating near Angel Island. Then, pieces of the rubber raft washed ashore. A small, waterproofed packet containing personal letters and photos belonging to the Anglin brothers was also discovered. This sealed it for the investigators. The official FBI report concluded that the homemade raft had likely failed in the treacherous currents. The men, they said, drowned in the freezing water, their bodies swept out by the tide into the Pacific Ocean, never to be found. The case was officially closed. The legend of Alcatraz's unescapable nature was officially restored. Or was it? The story could have ended there, a tale of a brave but failed attempt. But whispers and rumors persisted for decades. Family members of the Anglin brothers claimed to have received postcards and messages over the years. Then, in 2013, a bombshell. The San Francisco Police Department received a chilling, handwritten letter. It began with a sentence that sent shockwaves through law enforcement. "My name is John Anglin. I escaped from Alcatraz in June 1962 with my brother Clarence and Frank Morris. I am 83 years old and in bad shape. I have cancer," the letter went on to claim. "Yes, we all made it that night, but barely." The author offered to turn himself in exchange for medical treatment, promising to serve just 1 more year in prison. The FBI was forced to reopen their investigation. They subjected the letter to forensic analysis, comparing the handwriting to known samples from John Anglin. The results came back as inconclusive. They couldn't confirm it was him, but they couldn't rule it out either. If the letter is true, it changes everything. It means the 3 men survived the deadly waters, masterfully evaded the massive manhunt, and lived free lives for over 50 years, perhaps in South America, as some theories suggest. It would mean they pulled off the most successful prison break in history. To this day, the U.S. Marshals Service keeps the case open. The arrest warrants for Frank Morris and the Anglin brothers are still active. They have promised to continue the hunt until each of the men turns 99 years old. Whether they died that cold, foggy night in the bay or lived out their days as free men, one thing is certain. Frank Morris and the Anglin brothers achieved the impossible. They did more than just escape from a prison. They escaped into legend. Thank you for watching. If you found this story as fascinating as we did, don't forget to like, subscribe, and hit the bell icon for more timeless tales. See you next time.